Somebody was letting go and I can't wrap my way.
Jason, you look dapper today. You got the vertical stripes.
First of all, no.
You don't look dapper?
You look like a politician when they roll up their sleeves and like, I'm ready to get to work.
I'm going to get in here and I'm going to
start the conversation and then start rolling them up, ready to get some action
going. We rolled up our sleeves and got to work,
like
America.
A horrible
do you think they go through
NFL
training?
ref?
All NFL refs are horrible. Do you think they go through training about rolling up their sleeves and how to like emote how they're ready to get down to business?
It's time to get back to work, America.
The only time you can do it though is if you loosen the collar.
Now I unbutton mine. I can't get it buttoned back up.
You got to unbutton you got to roll the sleeve and loosen the collar just a hair. Like,
I've never seen a politician wear what John wears, so that should tell you something, John.
And that's why people trust me.
Is this what you mean by loosening up your collar?
Yes,
No, Jason.
that's exactly what I meant.
You need a gold chain if you're going to do that.
I'm a politician from the 80s. Did they ever do that? That's what. No, they didn't really. They wore suits, didn't they?
I think
they were classier.
I think they would now. I think the politicians have a whole nother.
Hi, I'm Tom Selleck, and I'm running for.
I think there was always a level of like decorum for all politicians. Obviously, we always know that they had lying and stuff. But
what you're saying is not important. Do you think having gray hair in your chest hair makes you look more attractive, or does that bring up my sexiness?
I don't
showing
even know
your
why
age.
we just changed gears.
It's your wisdom, Jason.
It's more important.
The wisdom.
Yeah. Every one of those gray hairs is something my children have done to me. Anyway.
Why are you eating the microphone like that?
He's resting his chin on it.
Just tired.
It's like we've never used a microphone in our life before. And this is the guy that runs the media department.
This is what they told me to do.
Anyway, guys, welcome back to another podcast. The Acoustic Shoppe knows things this week.
We know things. You know what we know?
What do we know, Jay?
We know good competition. We know good friends. We know that the acoustic music scene needs friendship, loyalty, love, trust, cooperation in order
and some good old
thrive.
competition.
We now know who has put together the subject matter for today's podcast. It's Jason.
No, I just read the script.
Oh,
I read the actual message from the media
This is scripted?
team.
This is a scripted podcast?
It's more of like a... you got an overview and then you ad lib a little bit. It's improvisation.
Our media team sent out a message with the theme of this podcast.
I didn't read that either.
And that's not unexpected. Anyway, moving on. We're gonna talk
Larry
about
David scene right
We're gonna
here.
talk about some good friends of ours in the music scene that and sometimes not
some
even
people
good.
we would like to be friends with.
we want to be friends with you guys. But
that's what this podcast is. We're asking for you to be our friend.
Brands that we've looked at that we honestly don't mind losing competition to, or losing customers.
Losing the occasional sale. I want to win most of them.
You know what? I don't even mind.
We don't lose customers.
Fine.
Some of them, it's okay.
Ever lose customers.
You know what? You're losing customers right now, John.
It was you
when
doing
you showed that chest hair. We lost a few.
Brands we don't mind losing a sale or two to.
A sailor?
What brand are we talking about?
I don't know what. I mean,
Chicken
I'll take all sailors. All military are welcome here. Do you eat your spinach? You fight to the finish?
I've said what I've said. Roll the clip.
All right, Jason, to clarify, you were not talking sailors. You said a sail or two, and it just kind of got merged together into sailors too. We don't mind.
I was certain it was the Gordon
sailors,
Fisherman.
too.
That's who I thought we were.
Jason, speaking, he likes that fisherman's friend, cough drops that will knock you on the floor. But you were talking about losing a sail every now and then.
Obviously.
Oh man, this is gonna be a good podcast. You're welcome, folks. Jason, please help me. I need your help. All right, no, I agree. I think this is a great subject because we ran into this as a band where it seemed like there was a certain level. It was so cutthroat, and every band that we would approach at a festival, the first thing you would do is you get out of the vehicle and they go, "How many dates you got booked for the year?" We got 230.
That's a lot of dates.
We just got off a show where we got 3 standing ovations.
Yeah, we got hired back for 3 years forward.
Whoop-de-doop.
So there was this weird competition that made it uncomfortable, and you didn't want to go see those people. And sometimes I felt myself falling prey to that, and other times I felt we have history where we would mock them a little bit and say, "I got a dog."
I was gonna say my favorite time of all those was the time one band did this and came in. We just came off a show. We had 3 standing ovations. They've hired us back for the next 2 years. Said it was the best show they've ever seen. And Jason looked at him and said, "I have a dog. She likes me."
It's brown. Anyway, yeah. So there's that competition,
and it took away from what the real focus of being a musician or being in business was, and it's the same thing that happens in this industry also. Really, all that competition and stupidity takes away from the focus of growing our acoustic music community, our music community overall, even, and providing great customer service and great products.
And I think it stifled the growth of those bands that were that way, because then we would go to like some really cool folk festivals where there's these really good artists and they all supported each other. They'd sit in the front row and cheer for each other. In the backstage area, they'd be talking and visiting and having fun, having each other on stage. And it's like, oh, this is the way it should be. And so when we got into
Are you saying that bluegrass musicians aren't the way it should be?
Not all
Jeremy,
of them. There was a level. You got to a certain level.
There's a certain level. That's the other thing we found out. Because
the McCurrys and the Isaacs and the Rhonda Vincents and there's
we
this
started
level.
breaking into that level before we quit.
we were at the lower part of that, but they still invited us in. It's like, oh, this is how you guys live on this side.
Honestly, it wasn't about
like getting into an airport lounge.
It's so good to see you at this festival. We love playing with you guys, hanging out. We have great friends at this point. Where it was earlier, it's like, oh man, I've got to get this date, and these guys are keeping me from.
They're playing before us, and they're going to take all our crowd.
So that's the question, right? I know we haven't yet got to the meat of what this particular one's about.
The viewers are waiting for that.
They're waiting for us to get there.
The meat of the potato.
The meat of the potato. But was it that there's a level where you're working so hard to be established?
I still don't think it needed to be that way.
I agree with you. I'm not saying you are 100%. It shouldn't be that way. But is that a mentality that we have as human beings to feel like automatically you're like, oh,
I think somebody just started it and everybody else followed along.
Here's a question.
The correct way to be is just like encouraging and helping each other out and knowing that we're all competing for the same.
Me being the devil's advocate right now, do you need that hunger?
The devil doesn't need your advocacy, Jason. He's doing fine on his own.
Not in my house. Thank you, Jeremy.
Oh, I've been to your house.
Do you?
He's doing just
your
fine.
Kids. Spawn of the devil. Anyway, go on.
Do you need that hunger when you're starting out at that level? I mean, are we just looking at a symptom? Because like even at our business, I mean, we got to be pretty hungry to keep growing and fight for what but do we? That's the question.
Here's what it is.
Because
here's my opinion. Hey, you ready for it?
Rising ships raise all boats.
Raise all the boats and ships.
So good at those.
I think it's with everything. Maturity helps you recognize, and looking back on it, you recognize it, and that's why establishing this new business, you have a different attitude. I think there was some of that happening here, right?
I think it's a mindset. Like, I think if you're setting your own standard of your own, like, I want to be the best.
Did somebody tell you need to have hand gestures?
I'm thinking about,
he knows
doing this on YouTube, too.
This is also being filmed, so
I'm thinking
for those of you at home, Jeremy just had the greatest gesture of all time.
The mindset. I was adjusting the frame of my mind.
This is
I think
when an audio-focused format, Jeremy's.
Exactly.
When you approach it with your own level of, it's like being a golfer. Your competition is yourself. If you really set yourself and I'm trying to do as good as I possibly can, that opens you up to admire other people that are doing well without like, I want what he has and he's doing better than me. That's not fair. Because this happened with Chris Thiele and Nickel Creek and Josh Williams and all those guys that grew up again in that same circle of very competitive, but they all admired each other because each one was trying to do their own personal best. And I think about that in football players, the ones that go in, they're the first one in, the last one out, practicing all the time. They're not sitting there looking at all the other teams going, man, I wish I could get all his attention. So I think it's the mindset of you can be very competitive if you're setting your own self as like, I need to make myself better, and not like, I want to do better than that guy, and it's not fair that he's doing better than me.
Well, it's human nature to be jealous.
That's my argument. I agree.
I think it is. I think it's all of the above. I think there's growth,
Please
mentality,
use your hands more when you're
mindset. Lots of growth happening.
Swirly.
I don't have much growth happening there.
But I honestly, because I can kind of remember the point in my life as an adult where I came to the conclusion.
What was your conclusion, Jay?
The world's not fair, and you can get the hell over it. And I tell my kids that every day. Honestly, I do.
Just
maybe
your
not
brother
the
got
hell
his
part, but
Ladies and
popsicle
gentlemen,
doesn't mean you're
Jason's
gonna-
kids are being raised by Walter Matthau.
We're honestly, there are a few. Let me point this out. There are a few child rearing differences we have between the three of us, and me and my wife prescribe wholeheartedly to get over it. He can do something you can't do, and you'll do something he can't do, and that's just the way it is. The world's not fair, and quit looking at other people to make it fair. Do your best, get what you need out of life. If you want something, work for it. Work harder for it.
Somebody has been attending the Tony Robbins inspirational coaching series.
And
I agree.
we started bringing that into our business, where I don't look at these guys as like, if they're horrible to me, I definitely want to trump
we
them.
started to do that. I think it's because we got so comfortable on the road as a band. Like at the end there, when we would get on stage, we knew some of the audience was really going to like us. Others were going to fold up their lawn chairs and walk around huffing. And we said, you know what? We've done this 20 years now. We know what we do well. We're going to do that. And it gives you this confidence that you're no longer trying to win every single one of the people over, which just made our show worse. If we just got up there and said, you know what, let's do the things we enjoy doing, have fun on stage, talk to the people that do enjoy us. It was so much more fun to get on the stage at that point.
Mm-hmm. That last
and we kind of approached the music store that
way.
way.
Of us playing music on the road was the most fun time because of that fact. And I think this brings us back. This brings us back to Jason's original concept, which is that's why there are different kinds of stores out there, and why we do not mind when you find the store that fits that better. We have learned throughout our years that what we do is acoustic instruments at a certain style and, mainly guitars, mandolins, banjos, stringed, fretted acoustic instruments. This is what we know. And if you want to come to us and talk to us about trombones, you're in the wrong space.
Jason will make an off-colored joke.
Anyway,
that's a tuba.
But take that. No, it's not.
Shows you what you know.
That could easily be a trombone. Take that a step further, though, John. And honestly, they can be in the same niche we are. They
can't. We win all sales acoustic guitars, Jay.
All right, let's be serious for a second, though.
Okay.
It's just like guitar brands. We go through this with guitar brands. Honestly, it's another avenue of like, what weird competition you guys have. We're the only ones that make the best fill in the blank.
Or I'm willing to even go play somebody else's guitar because we know they're
obviously
not doing what we're
junk.
doing.
But there's how many hundred guitar brands out there and how many thousand dealerships? They're going to buy a guitar from them and then hopefully buy one from us. And hopefully we do a better job of getting it to them and making them happy.
And there's some out there that do a great job with that. Like, okay, we're going to, believe me, folks, we're bringing this around to a conclusion or to the subject matter. But Dana Bourgeois' one, Richard Hoover's one, we love to see. I love Dana hanging out with him. He'll go to all the other booths and play their instrument and ask him, how'd you do this? This is great. I love what you did there. He's confident enough in his own building that he wants to go to other people and say, well, here's how I did this. What do you think of this? Get some feedback from them and really admire and appreciate their skill of something that he doesn't do as well or they do differently from him. Yep. Same thing with music stores. We love some of the stores, and we're going to list some of them in this podcast, that are doing things that the same way we enjoy doing. They love what they're doing. They're really putting the customer first and making sure they're not just trying to get a sale and then the customer's on their own and let's go to the next customer. They really want to build this customer base that appreciates what they're doing. And we've admired them from the start when we started the store. We've got to meet new ones since starting the store.
We've been inspired and admiring them.
And we love going to visit them and hang out at the shop and do like Dana does. Go say, how did you do that? That's so cool the way you guys do this. Or
So does this come back to what I said a little while ago? A maturity in recognizing who you are, what you are, and being able to look back at it.
No, John, it's a mindset.
But does that mindset come naturally?
I think it's maturity. I think everybody has to learn.
There are people out there that always have that. A guy like Chris Thiele, and maybe it's because he's never really had competition because he's the best there ever was. But he's never once showed a cutthroat I'm competing with you mindset that I've seen. There's guys like that out there that I think are naturally inclined to being like, hey, we're all having fun. This is great. I do what I do. And maybe it's because, again, we go back to the other thing. They've worked hard all their life to get to where they are. They know how they got to where they are. They're in control of how they got to where they are. Therefore, they're secure.
Yeah.
Maybe
I think that's part of it.
It's really, it's really hard to get to that mindset, though.
Ooh, you did it. John did the hand gesture.
Because I'm going to full on admit that there was that time period in my career where I wanted to just wow everybody, and I'm working so hard to just get everybody's attention and try to prove who I am. I think we all did it. Whether you want to admit it or not, I think we all did it.
We can all admit that we all were very competitive at one point. You, the worst.
Yeah. There you go.
We're all competitive.
But it just takes this recognition of, again, I think it's with your family, with everything.
There's another great podcast.
Is there?
Called Smartless, where you guys should check this guy out. Great actor, director, Jason Bateman. Jeremy Bateman.
Jason Bourne.
Jason Bateman. He refers to it as sexy indifference. You get to a point in your life and career where you don't care in a good way.
Yeah.
You still want success, but you're not going to just success at all costs.
I can get this job or I can't. Honestly, I love you guys and I'll see you later.
So this is where you unbutton that top button?
No, but there's a bit of that also to this that we're talking about. There is that confidence that you get. You get to the point where you're like, I've seen a lot. I know a few things now. I'm not the best, and I'm aware of that. But, I think you're going to like me.
Dale Carnegie spoke to much of this in How to Win Friends and Influence People, a book I highly recommend. Again, I'm not shy to recommend other published authors. It's not just about me being a published author. Other authors
By
out
the way,
there.
please check out the Do-It-Yourself Mandolin book.
But anyway,
Dale
Carnegie, he talks about
or Amazon.com.
One of
or
his
your favorite book retailer.
One of his quotes in there was that every man is better than me in some way, and of that I try to learn from him. So no matter what line of work somebody's
and I'd
in,
like to take that. Can I just?
They can do things that you
second?
can't do. So don't look down on the mechanic. Don't look down on the farm worker. They have skills that you don't have, and if you just locate those skills and say, "This man is actually better than me in this one thing," you get a different appreciation in life. You don't look down on people.
I would take that to every man is better than me in one thing, except for that one guy. You know who you are.
Why is it Jason's allowed to be funny and I'm not?
You call that being funny?
Well, it's not allowed. It's just, natural inclination to being funny.
John, you need the confidence to allow all people to be funny.
That's
all right, so guys, name some stores. Let's name the good stores.
Do we want to talk about these stores?
All right, let's name a few. Elderly music. We just had Lillian on the podcast. We've admired Elderly from before we were even a touring band. Like this, what they did with the catalogs. Dad would get those in, inspiring. Just the way they presented and gave descriptions of the products and told little stories at the beginning of the catalog. That was inspirational.
Were for myself. I think before you guys were really playing heavily, there was 3 of catalogs that I would get regularly. It was Mandolin Brothers, Elderly. Mandolin Brothers no longer in existence, and First Quality. And of all those, the one that lasted, Elderly.
Well, that's one thing that's a great thing to point out about them. The cool thing is they're a legacy store. Stan Werbin's still hanging out in there. He's retired at this point, but all the cool stories of Stan and the cool things that they've done over the years and how great a guy he has been to people. But also the fact that they're a legacy store that is still working and hard. They do lots of cool things to improve their business. But also, honestly, Lillian has been inspiration in this subject. She's like the first person to go to a competitor and say, I love you guys. I'd like to hang out. Let's learn from each other. Let's talk about things.
We're doing seminars for other business owners or at IBMA. Anything we have, there's no top secret knowledge here. We're all in this together. Let's give advice to each other where we can.
That's very admirable. So I would definitely agree with you. They're on the list, very close to the top, if not the top.
And their store's a really cool place to go visit, to go see up in Michigan. It is, it's iconic. It's something that we went through as a band and stopped by to see it. And then we've got to do our big tour as a store now and go
Yes.
make a visit there. And
We talked to her about
Pilgrimage.
picking her up, and we're just going to throw us all in a RV and just start touring around and attacking other stores, throwing
In a good
eggs at
way.
Some of them.
Wait, you just said we don't.
But there's some of them that need to be TP'd.
Do you not throw eggs at your friends? Am I wrong?
Yes, you are.
At the price of eggs these days, are you kidding me? I agree. All right.
You can't get away with that.
But yeah,
What's another-
that's a great example of a store that's doing things well, really putting the customer first, doing some really cool marketing stuff, but also just a legacy that is maybe, again, that's the one that has been around so long. They know what they do well. They're confident. They don't need this kind of cutthroat competition.
And we're not talking cheery, kumbaya stuff here, because obviously they're wanting to get as many sales as they need. They got mouths to feed, same as us, same as everybody else. But honestly, it's not about being happy that they're winning or they're better than you. It's just being confident and knowing that, we'll get the next one.
And also they give you some inspiration.
Hopefully.
They make you want to be a better
Yeah.
music
drive you
store.
to be better. All right. John, is there anybody else you admire? Probably not.
This one's going to be a back and forth, and
I'll
this
tell you
is-
if I agree with you or not.
You know
Whether you're right or
going to.
not.
The easy one is Sweetwater. It's one of those stores.
Wrong.
This
No,
is
just
one of
kidding.
those stores that everybody wants to hate. That's in our industry, and I don't get it.
It's almost like when that one artist all of a sudden makes it big, and then everybody that used to think they were cool, it's like, oh, I don't like
You've
them
sold
anymore.
out.
I actually had some of our manufacturers that called me and said, "Hey, we're about to start selling through Sweetwater. We need you to know because this is going to be a big." And the first thing out of my mouth is, "That's probably the smartest thing you guys have ever done." It's the juggernaut. It's the one we all want to be. And if you're hating on it as a music store, it's only because you can't recognize how great they really are at what they do. Now, is this the ultimate store? Do I argue that we offer things that I think make it a better experience? Absolutely. I will argue that.
There's nobody on this list that I can't say I would hope and strive to be better than. It's,
Yeah.
But my thing about an Amazon, and everybody freaks out about it.
I didn't
and
say
looks at
Amazon, Jay.
it- Or not Amazon, I meant Sweetwater.
Look what
I was
he's
gonna
gonna
say
Did you
Amazon.
just equate Sweetwater to Amazon?
Well,
maybe.
They're the
Sort of.
Amazon.
but honestly, here's why I was thinking Amazon is Sweetwater. Honestly, where do you stop? You go, well, I'm competing with a juggernaut I can't compete with. Well, they're competing with a juggernaut they can't compete with, and Amazon's competing with a juggernaut they can't compete with in some areas, and it never ends. So why even just compete where you know you can win, and hope that you win?
Wait, that does not sound like anything any coach has ever told me. Only compete when you know you can win.
No, do the skill.
I
your
know
skills
what you're trying to say.
and do your job correctly.
We just
and
need
you'll
somebody
win.
watching
It's
for the
it's
secret
exactly
plays,
what the coaches
reading
say.
lips.
That's what the coaches say to the kids at these games is you do your best, and if your teammates do your best, you're probably going to win because you're sticking to what you do best.
So
Don't worry about how the pitcher's pitching.
So
If you're
Sweetwater is a good example. They have really perfected a model. And again, it's a great American story, starting out small, just like we were talking about elderly mail order catalog. It was great, listening to the origin stories of that, where synthesizers and some of the equipment that you couldn't find everywhere, figuring out that people needed somebody that they could send or order these from. And that just kept building and compounding and eventually adding on different lines of instruments and now getting into some of the rental programs. But then the entire time keeping that customer relationship as like the top goal of not just getting that sale, but having those sales reps that reach out to the customer and really try to make sure you're giving the best experience and being able to deliver $2 billion worth of equipment
Maybe that's
a year.
somewhere my confidence comes from is I understand that these brands didn't get to where they are just by chance or by luck. Maybe that you can't be jealous of hard work. So places like Sweetwater, they built it. They built what they are. And honestly, if I'm going to complain about competing with them, I'm going to complain about competing with car sales and every other thing that eats up people's money. So stick to what you do, right?
I agree. And I would throw Thomann in there too. I know they're in Europe, but now they're just incredible business that we get inspiration from just watching videos on how they do things in their warehouse. Like, someday, guys, someday we won't be that.
What's funny is most of the listeners that are watching probably right now or are listening right now don't know of that particular entity. Thomann is out of Germany. And, most of you who are in the music world, retail, that are buying, you think of Sweetwater as the big monster or Guitar Center as the biggest ones. The truth is, they pale in comparison to this company called Thomann, which is...
I think they said they do 40,000 orders a day.
They're backing in semi-trucks every 5 minutes. After one leaves, in 5 minutes, another one starts filling up just of packages of musical instrument products. This is not Amazon, but it rivals Amazon in numbers.
And the technology of the warehouse and stuff, it's incredible.
So yeah, Thommann's another big one.
So going from the giant juggernauts to some more smaller
do you want
local...
to speak on another one that we just spoken on there, Guitar Center? I don't really consider them to be competition in our world, or really. Unfortunately, I think Guitar Center, and I don't want to slam on a brand because they were such a great brand at some point. They were such a huge thing but it seems like they're just not even really relevant.
Seem to have lost their way a bit.
Is that fair?
Yes,
they're still relevant. They're relevant. I think their sales are still bigger than Sweetwater.
They have.
When you combine,
I think that
when you
changed.
combine Guitar Center and what's their online version? And they also have Music and Arts and Musicians and Friends. Those three entities are all Guitar Center. Their total sales are higher.
Fair,
but so there's still a big impact in the music industry. And if they were gone, it would leave a lot of manufacturers in trouble.
It's
a different experience.
It's that weird uncle that's sitting in the corner at every family gathering. You're like, man, he's got a lot, but
I think that you are Jeremy is correct in stating that they are not to be forgotten. And the story of Guitar Center, by the way, if you've not actually gone through the story of what Guitar Center was and how it, based out of California, starts with this small store that grew into the world's largest music chain at the time. Obviously, has been surpassed since then. But, because we just talked about Thomann, sorry. That store, I think, is a victim of its
venture capital
success.
I think it's a victim of venture capital. Where
but
they come in
because of the success.
They say, we project your future sales to be this, so we're going to take out debt based on that future sales. And then the debt becomes so high you can't even keep up with the interest rates. And it's kind of a deadly spiral.
Fatten it up and
which is why when we keep getting approached by venture capitalists, we say,
"No, sir, I don't.
I will
want
pass,
your money.
sir. I want."
No, let's say I want to say, hopefully,
I'm out so quick.
Hopefully, they do get it figured out and they're back in the fold.
I read an article about this, and they were kind of discussing what would happen to music industry, or as we call it, the MI, if Guitar Center totally did collapse and disappear. And the truth is, it would do more damage than we all know. Yeah. And speaking of that, and we're kind of sort of going off topic, but another one of those was Sam Ash. And in talking to the manufacturers right now, they're still reeling from what happened.
The vacuum that left.
And even though they're coming back in a new entity in a totally different way, that company is gone. It's still absolutely threw the music industry for an absolute loop. So, as much as your idea was
my point was not that they're not a huge juggernaut or that they're not a they're not a thriving company, but they're a legitimate entity in an industry. They're just such a weird space of everybody kind of understands that they hate them. But I guess they still buy from them, but they hate them.
But they're kind of the Best Buy of...
Yeah, that's what I said. It's Best Buy. That's
one that
Walmart.
the general public thinks of when they think of music.
But even Best Buy's tried to reinvigorate their retail.
And they've done a pretty good job. But
they've done build. But it seems like Guitar Center's just like, we're here. Buy for me if you want to. I don't care. Honestly, that's the feeling you get from it. It's like, well,
you're not getting the same ads I get.
Guys, remember the point of this podcast?
People doing stuff.
The point of this podcast is the ones that we enjoy.
Generally, yeah.
So Guitar Center. Keep doing.
I used to go to Guitar Center all the time.
I think Guitar Center is the gateway drug to the local music store. A lot of people, they think of that first when they're just dipping their toe in the music waters.
810 GK cabinet from Guitar Center used.
We used to buy microphones and microphone cables all the time. So it's kind of that entry, and then people can find their local store that maybe will give them a little bit more customized experience. I think if you're in a different genre of music, if you're DJing or if you're electric or even drums, there's not many music stores out there that have a drum section. So Guitar Center probably serves them better than
Guitar Center's not horrible.
the Acoustic Shop or the Acoustic
You
World.
win.
Like Jason, we've come to the conclusion. Guitar
Hey guys,
Center
what
is
are your
not
thoughts on
horrible.
casino guitars?
I don't like those
Like
guys.
them, hate them, both.
Baxter's not great.
No, I like all of them. I really do. The guys, and it's funny because we come from a total different space.
And this
yet
is another time
understand
we
each
wouldn't have
other.
known anything about them except for YouTube and video stuff. Same thing we're doing. Coming across their videos and going, I kind of like these guys. I like the shape of, what is it? I like the shape of their jib.
Oh no, Jeremy.
That's
Talk
just
about Baxter's jig.
You
how they
cannot
dress.
talk about his jib.
Anyway,
Even
Don't
the
talk about
shape
his
of
jig.
it.
we got to
Oh, my
watch them on
Lord.
YouTube,
Baxter's
and then
gonna like
It's
that
the
joke.
we went
cut of
a cut of their jib,
Thank you, Jeremy.
which I think is another sailor reference.
It is.
it's a sailing reference.
Anyway, we saw them, and then Baxter showed up at Merle Fest. We had our booth set up there, and he was he has
Got
a booth
along
there with Taylor.
swimmingly.
We did. It's like that's that crazy haired guy.
And by the looks of him, you don't think we'd get along because he looks kind of crazy.
You know,
And,
I'm not
technically
sure that
he
he
is.
actually likes us. We like him. I'm not even positive
says friendly
that he
things
likes
sometimes.
us.
But again, just like everything else, I'm confident. I don't care. I like Baxter, and if he doesn't like me, that's good enough.
I prefer my haircut to his, but apples to oranges.
Yeah, I wish I had more
Anyway, so even after Merle Fest one year, we had an extra few days. Me, you, and I think there's somebody else
Wasn't
with
that
us
after
on that trip.
Raleigh? I think it was after IBM.
might be IBM.
We're
It was
not
Austin.
going to argue.
Austin was there
At
too.
IBMA.
And we just said, let's make a trip up there and visit the Casino Guitar Shop. They opened
John was there.
opened up their arms to us. They took us out
bought
for
us
pizza.
pizza.
They brought us in the back, showing us the new studio before they'd even shown it online. And we just talked about running a business, some of the manufacturers we love working with, some of them that are more difficult, some of them we both should consider carrying in the store. There's a lot of open advice and sharing, and even introductions between brands, us introducing them to reps and them doing the same. Just a really cool
And
relationship.
honestly, that's happened like with those guys, and it's happened with a lot of our quote competitors. We have relationships with some of our vendors that those don't have, and those stores that we work with so easily, like a casino, even here in town, Ernie Williamson, some of these stores that we work with and can be able to look at them and go, all right, I think this is a good fit. I think what we have it already. But I think you guys would do really well with this. And we call them up. And Baxter did the same thing. He's calling up some of the vendors that they work with and said, you know what? You guys are making a huge mistake with not working with the Acoustic Shop. I think I said the same thing. I don't know if it's going to happen, by the way. If it hasn't, maybe it has. They've been interested in Atkin guitars. I said, you know what? I think you would be perfect for it. I think
Electrics
that's
would
a
be
great one. And I called Alistair and I said, dude, you know, keep riding on these guys because I think it's a really good fit, especially for the electric side of what they do. The acoustic side you will do well with, but there's some really cool stuff, and you would be the place to do it. So I think that's where those relationships, like what you talked about, why is it we like these other stores? There's an easy relationship of recognizing you guys have ability to talk to people that we're not talking to, and vice versa, and we help
it's
each other
information
out.
too. Like with Baxter, especially, we've really gained a lot of insight into what everybody's doing, and he's been around for about as long as us, but he's been, you know, he's a little more social than we are, so he's probably got more friends in the industry than we do. But there's a lot of information and thoughts and ideas and experiences that we can all share as a collective, and that raises the whole system by itself. If we were all so siloed in our own competitive little worlds and saying, you know, I'm going to ruin you guys and I will not talk to you until you're dust under my feet, it would be such a horrible landscape.
That used to be our main mission statement,
Our mantra.
But it would be such a horrible industry at that point because
This
we'd all
reminds me of the
suck.
conversation we had with Sierra Hull in this podcast a few months ago, where the musicians that we talked about in bluegrass would do that thing where they say, how'd you do that lick? And they would say, oh, let me show you how to do this lick. Or they would ask you, how did you do that? I think that same kind of collaboration can happen in these music stores. They're obviously competing for sales. We all want to make sure we're growing and doing better. But we understand we can't capture every sale, and we would rather another store like that get the sales
And
we
let's
don't
face
capture.
it, this retail management world is a lonely sad world. If we had no way to know that we weren't the only ones sucking at doing something, honestly, we go like, man, we must really be terrible because we can't sell this product. But then we go to guys like Baxter and say, how are you guys doing on this? And be like, it's not so great. Like,
that brings us back to the thing we talked about with some of the other bands is honesty with these stores. Every single ones that we have mentioned so far have been honest with us about this. You want to know what the most frustrating ones are? The ones where that they're not selling what they say they are.
For the listener at home, Jason just spilled Dr. Pepper down his chest.
The Dr. Pepper 1 or 0 has officially gone down.
Well, you guys know this isn't edited because that stayed in there.
You know what's the best part? That is now going to take some of the gray and turn it more brown.
The chest hair.
I wear these shirts that are kind of like stain proof because obviously
there you go.
I need them.
No, to be honest, how much help has
to be
each
honest,
one of
honesty,
those,
right?
Yeah. Honesty is important. Any relationship, if you don't start with honesty,
except for wives.
Well, right? Yeah,
you don't tell them everything.
Right? Tell them everything. Of course.
Good Lord, Jeremy.
Anyway,
that's awful.
This is weird.
I'm very honest about.
But seriously,
how
many of these stores that we just mentioned have been honest about it? I mean, even Sweetwater has not been fudging and telling everybody we're doing this, we're doing that. And then,
there are a few that will do that big ass thing. Well, we just had our biggest month ever. We went $100 million over, or what we anticipated. And
I can't keep those in stock.
Liar,
because you didn't order them. Anyway,
that's the toughest part is having those conversations with real, genuine business owners who are struggling with certain things or aren't, and be able because that was that conversation I had with Baxter was what is the actual numbers of what you guys are selling with Atkin guitars? How well is this moving? Now I could have tanked that easily and said, you know what, I want to keep this all to myself, man. We can't move those guitars. This is just a tough spot.
I can't understand what they're saying. They're speaking some other language.
Some other version of English.
What the heck is a crumpet?
But seriously, that's an easy thing to do, and it's been done to us. It has been done to me.
Well, it's done in the opposite way, too.
Many times.
It's been the opposite way. Oh, man, these are the greatest selling item in the world. Well,
you should order so much of this, and then what they're really doing is trying to see. But having somebody.
In fact, you can get some out of my warehouse.
Yeah. If somebody who can literally help you out and explain what's going on.
And we're not talking about what's the NAM statement. We are not
no, not
That's not antitrust, guys. We're just discussing generalized numbers. Yeah. Just to be clear.
Yeah. There's no price setting in any of this. No. But it is very helpful to get that kind of feedback. Like Jason said, it can be like you're on an island and feel like, man, are we doing good at this? Or are other people struggling? Right? Are sales down this month across the board? Or did we do something wrong? And having those phone calls you can make and they go, yeah, it's been a weird month, across the board. That's very helpful and encouraging when you're self-doubting a little bit. So,
in fact, if you want to make me your best friend in this industry, all you need to do is tell me all the struggles I have are normal.
Open your books and show me I'm not the only one that sucks.
You just got to tell me that. Then I'll feel better about everything. Yeah, guys, John, I don't know what to say. It's been tough for everybody this month. Meanwhile, they're writing orders like mad over here.
And you're not as ugly as everybody says.
We got to, I guess, temper some of this by saying we don't. Not at a fault of our own. Like, I honestly intend to go into every store and every relationship open and say, hey, we're all in this together. Can we work together? Can we be cool? In our town, there are some major stores. We talked about Guitar Center already. Ernie Williamson, there's another one that we've tried to reach out and give that olive branch and be friendly. And it feels like it's received sometimes. And then we hear things on the back end that aren't. Ernie Williamson, John and I started there. I started teaching there, and then John started teaching. Then he started working there. It used to be Springfield Music. We get along with Donovan and the folks over there very well. We actually still call each other and help each other. I listen to Donovan's podcast all the time. We have a good relationship.
At the shop, and
they've come over here.
We've opened our books to them and doors and said, "Hey, this is what we do."
And they can laugh
if you need
at
any help, let us know.
Amanda was a huge asset to have in Washington. Yeah. And me and Jason were kind of lost.
So those relationships, like you're saying, they build up over time also. But
unfortunately, we can't make them with everyone. We definitely go in there.
We're not going to name
with
names
the attempt.
For legal purposes. I don't think we should, but there are brands that we've tried to have lunch with and be friends with. And honestly, they have behind our back said, no, you guys suck and I hate you and you should all die. But this is my other point, and this isn't the only one. Yes, they're going to win no matter what. But this is one good point that I'd like to make at that point is the competition that we don't like. Honestly, I'm happy to have them around. And honestly, it's a learning lesson. I'm glad to lose a sale to them because if I lose a sale to them, I know I'm doing something wrong and I need to figure it out. So it's such a good, even people that are horribly competitive and mean to us, I'm glad they're there because they push you.
They're nipping at
They
your
make you
heels.
better. And it's easier. I mean, it's so easy with this kumbaya conversation we've had to say, oh, we're all doing great. We're all going to win great. But honestly, if you don't have people that you can hate.
And there is a different approach. You were talking about like the kids' Little League baseball. You've seen this too. My kids last week had a game, and their coach is very laid back, and it's all about let's work on these new techniques and teaching you guys this. They played against another team that coach had trained those kids that we're here to win. And even when the kids were throwing the catcher was throwing the ball to the coach because it was his turn to come and pitch because there'd been 3 balls or whatever. He would teach his kids to steal bases. So you're not even supposed to steal bases when you're throwing it to the coach pitch. But every time they got an opportunity, they would steal a base. And the only time they were scoring was stealing bases. But their whole thing is they're over there cheering about how much they're winning. And it was a totally different mentality to playing that game. But it also made our kids' team like, man, these guys are being mean. We got to fight these guys. And it was a different motivation than a standard game.
It gives you something to fight against, and that's not a bad thing sometimes. Honestly, I don't wish them ill. I mean, I wish them well. But it makes me want to beat them more.
It's like the Patriots.
That's one side of it. But
can I talk about 2 stores that I want to get to know better?
yeah, that's what I was going to say. We should talk to
I got 2
friends we don't have.
that I
got a long list, but go ahead.
Here's something very interesting
I want to
about
point
the Chapmans.
the difference on these ones that we know is another cool thing is working with our vendors. We hear about people like Stan before we met Stan and Lillian Werbin. We heard about how good they are to people and how nice they are and how it's good to work with. These are other brands. I think, John, I'm sure one of these brands is people we hear about all the time, how cool they are, and you guys really should get to know them. And so this is our call out to them. We want to get to know you.
Yeah, this is literally.
And we're
me
too shy
asking,
to call.
And there's probably going to
my
be others
friend.
that are going to hit me here in a minute. But here's one thing about the Chapmans: as much as we seem to be pretty open and wide open people, we don't do great.
Gosh, you should see us in a room where we're supposed to like mingle
to new
and
people.
What do you call it?
We're networking.
Networking.
We're the worst.
There's like this room full of
ever.
people, and me and Jason are sitting by ourselves, like, "Hi, how you doing? I'm Jeremy."
Nobody's talking to me.
For 11 years, we went to the NAMM show, and when they would have these mingling events, and the only people that we mingled with was the 3 of us looking at all the other people going, I think that's such and such over there. And you go, yep, that's who that is. And
look at all these jerks not coming over and talking to me.
So this is not because it
takes a lot for us to introduce ourselves to people.
It does, and it's a weird thing. We're getting better. I have to say, each one of us is getting better at being able to have the confidence to walk up and say, "Hi, my name is," and not feel like somebody's going to go, "Okay." So there's that. But I have 2 stores that I've watched on YouTube for the last few years that I really do want to get to know because I want to find out what their businesses are more like. One of them is Alamo Music. Those 2 guys. I've been watching their
the
videos.
Alamo?
I remember, yes. They're doing some really cool stuff. We talk about a lot of the same kinds of things, and they come at it from a totally different viewpoint than me personally, which I actually enjoy because
Different
it does
energy too,
give
which
me,
is fun.
Yeah, it gives me the opportunity to kind of figure out what am I missing, what do I know that they don't, or vice versa. So I really want to get to know those guys. Another one that, again, it's a YouTube channel that I watch quite often is Music Villa. It's the Acoustic Letter guys. That's their
I
channel.
think the L's are silent.
I love their store.
Villa.
I've seen so many pictures of their
Villa.
store and what they do.
Such a great looking store. And I've heard
really
the
cool
owner,
design.
and I can't remember his name right now because I don't know him. He's not my friend of mine. But no, I've heard that they're really great people. Honestly, cool person to get to know. And I honestly just want to go out and check out their store because they got a great looking store.
Yeah.
And I've never been there. So
those are 2
Yeah,
that I
think those are 2 on our list
top of my
too.
mind.
yeah, Music Villa seems like a great store. kind of share the same kind of energy that we have of just kind of having fun and having providing great service and having cool stuff, right?
Another one I don't think we'll get a chance to visit, but we've met them a few times, and again, admired from afar Anderton's music. They were really one of the pioneers of the YouTube videos, and I think they're running a cool shop. It's not as much acoustic centric as we are in the two you listed, but they do a really cool job, and they seem very friendly. That's one that we have actually come up and introduced ourselves to and said.
And that's why we don't introduce ourselves to anybody anymore, because they go like, "Who are you?" No, just kidding. They were really nice.
Very friendly.
I think the coolest collaboration of channel. Every time we collaborate with any YouTube channel, it's always been great. But I really want to do something with Anderton's, because it's so separate. Well, that brings me to another
All's
one.
in your court, Anderton's.
Yeah, it's in your court.
You guys want some new subscribers?
For the same reason,
you want
I got
5
another
new
store
subscribers?
that we have got to know. I got to know them a lot better this last year, and that is come on, it's going to hit me.
The Fellowship of the Acoustics.
Fellowship of the Acoustics.
That's what I was going to say.
For the same reason, I think it's awesome if we were to have us hillbilly idiots in Middle Missouri with
we get along with the Dutch. We just do for some reason. We get along with them.
But I think English Anderton's would be fun.
They have
We
a
got
great
our
store.
side
Gorgeous.
of what we do and their side of what they do. Fellowship of the Acoustics, kind of the same sort of vibe.
You know what? To be honest, I reached out to them 2 years ago to do some sort of collaboration, and we were like, "What should we do?" And we're like, "I don't know." And then we all got busy, and we didn't follow through. But we need to reach out.
You ruined
to
my
those guys.
opportunity.
I tried.
They said they're open. We just
I
gotta come up with
know.
an
I
idea.
just couldn't come up with a good idea. We need to come up with a good idea. What
Let's put a
Balls
car
in
in our
your
store.
court,
Let's
Fellowship.
we'll do little pocket cars in our store. We got like a fancy vehicle.
can't compete with coolness? No, honestly, they're such cool guys and nice guys. Genuinely,
Yeah,
super
all four
nice
of those
guys.
are really
and honestly.
ones that we admire from far. Again, we have this. If I lose a sale to those guys, they deserve it because they're doing such a good job. Chicago Music Exchange be another one. I haven't got to visit that store, but I keep looking at it online. They did that showroom to look like it's a guitar heaven that you walk. The doors open and go. Oh. Maybe more for the electric stuff. It does. It makes a sound. They plugged it in. Oh. It's like I got an electric car that does that when you put it in reverse. Oh.
Is that why they do that?
Yeah, it's the experience. Right? No, that's a cool store also. Chicago, speaking of that, we're just going to name off all the stores we know. But another
Old
cool
Town
store.
School Music.
Old Town School folk music is cool, but no, Down Home Music.
Yeah.
Steve is a super nice guy.
And a mandolin player, so
And a mandolin player.
And that's what we don't hold against him.
No, honestly, that's a shop that we kind of known about and kind of admired his inventory, and we're like, wow, that's
cool stuff.
such cool guitars. We got to know them, got to know him really well during the Fretboard Summit, and honestly, could not be a
we
better.
invite all of you
down-home
to join us. It's
guy.
going to be in August, September,
Yeah,
August
20
up in
something.
Chicago at the Old Town
Maybe
School
we'll
of
get to
Folk
make
Music.
that stop this year.
Yeah, I want to get over to the Steve shop because honestly, could not be closer to his name. He's a down home guy. See what I did there?
Yeah, I saw what you did. That's amazing.
Very good, Jason.
No, Steve's a great guy, and that's another business. It's like, man,
Doing some cool stuff.
we could only just be friends.
Obviously,
with him.
just like our top albums, this is not an exhaustive list. These are all ones that we do admire. I'm sure there's some that we neglected to mention that we all mutually admire. But I think the overall theme is it doesn't have to be us versus them. We're all kind of trying to make a better experience and really help people discover music in a different way. And I love that some of our subscribers are subscribers of these channels, and they'll be in our live stream talking about they were just in a live stream with this other group, and we all join their live streams. They join ours. It's a cool community of music stores, music buyers, enthusiasts. It should be something we can all share and not have this kind of, well, if you're subscribed to them, then I don't want you watching our channel.
Can I
Because you'll
talk
give
about
some of our
one
secrets.
store that, real quick before we get out of here, that we should mention, because I don't think this store would be in existence if it wasn't for a fellow by the name of Kit Simon,
Uncle
who ran
Kit Simon.
the Old Town Pick and Parlor.
Runs.
Yeah, it runs. You're correct, Jared. Thank you. I didn't mean it in a past tense. But
Yet you said
he
ran.
ran it while we were there. And that's what I learned. Most everything I knew about music retail before we started this store was from that shop. Now, that's
Most
not
of those things
necessarily-
not to do.
Yeah, a lot of things that we
There are a
shouldn't
few
do.
things we learned not to do. Yes.
Um,
No,
but-
we all kind of worked in that store at one moment or another. I used to clean out the cash register every once in a while. When I was a little kid.
Well, Kid was
He
sent us down to
trusted me
buy
with cash,
baklava. Go buy some baklava, guys.
Yeah.
There was this cool German bakery right around the corner. It was actually pretty
Kid would
killer.
say, just take some money out of the cash drawer and go buy some. Bring it back.
But yeah, honestly, that was another good inspiration and start of all this stuff and honestly, he helped us out early on, gave us
Absolutely.
advice, helped us
We
with
ignored most of
dealerships.
it, but yes, he did.
And he's been a close family friend.
I
since
still
we
hear
were
from all
young.
the time. I talk to Kit quite often, probably at least once a month. We talk about instruments that he's got in, instruments that he's looking for, those kind of things. But I genuinely learned everything I know about guitars, most everything I know about guitars, in that time period. That was when I was just absorbing everything I possibly could.
That's where you got your 1940 D18.
It is where I got my D18, is from Kit. It's
where I got my Golden
had
Era.
it not been for him. I mean, the dude actually floated me a loan to pay off that guitar, which was stupid. And now he wants it back. And I said, no.
You never made your final payment.
I didn't.
No, that's definitely a good final entry into this. And if we've forgotten a good friend of ours,
I'd love people put in the comments of ones we may not be aware of. Like, what is a great store that we should go check out? We actually have a plan of getting an RV, renting
One
an RV.
day, we're gonna get a
and we're going
bus.
to go drive from store to store, pick up some of the store
us,
owners, visit
Lily
a few
and
more.
Urban, and a few others, friends of ours. And we're all just gonna get on a bus and party like it's 1999 all the way across the country.
I still say we get Tom Bedell. You know, I know he's just recently retired, by the way.
He's got some more
Happy
time on his
retirement, Tom.
hands.
But I think that would be the most fun
I'm gonna let
trip
him drive.
ever, and let him drive.
driving.
He's got a bus. He's got a big old bus. So let's go, Tom. Me, Jeremy, and Jason. Let's just crank through
Tour
the
the
entire
country.
guitar world. It'll be awesome.
And we'll get to know new friends.
That's right.
Anyway, yeah, like Jeremy said, put in the comments, comment what brands you think are the greatest ones, dealerships, friends we need to meet.
If you know some of these people that we mentioned, introduce us because we're still shy.
Yeah, tell them that we're desperate for friendship. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this nonsense.
It went everywhere.
If you like this podcast, please rate it wherever you rate your podcasts.
And please rate it high. Like,
Comment.
not just rate it, but
If it's on YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, go to your podcast app and download and rate it there also and listen to it there because you want to hear it twice.
and when you go to bed at night, just play the podcast and let it run
Yeah,
in
mute it.
silent mode, just so we get some more of the traffic.
Yeah, we need more views and listens. God, we're sounding desperate. Please be our friend. Please listen to us. And until next time, this has been the Acoustic Shoppe Knows Something. I don't know what it is, but it's something.
Thank you.
Take me away.
The Acoustic Shoppe Knows People. Handmade by Trent Pruitt, Hinkley Hinkleston, and Jason Chapman for the Acoustic Shoppe.
Theme song written and performed by Ofer Koren.
And please remember to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.